Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, November 21st, and it is 3 p.m. We are holding a meeting of the Administrative and Regulatory Committee today, and I am Fran Kelleher, Vice Chair of the Commission and Chair of this committee. We have joining us also Commissioner Linda Kroom, who will be with us, and we may have Pamela Bird joining late as well. So I would like to welcome all of the public and thank all of the staff who are here to support us at this meeting today. Today, we will start with approval of the minutes. We have only one action item after we approve the minutes. Would Linda like to move that we approve minutes from August 1st of 2022 for this committee?
So move, Commissioner Keller.
Thank you. I second it. All those in favor of approving the minutes from August 1st, 2022, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimously approved. Thank you very much. With that, we will move to our action item for today, which is consideration of the voucher payment standards based on HUD's fiscal year 23 small area fair market rent standards. And for discussion, I would like to turn it over to Executive Director Chelsea Andrews, who will introduce the topic and our discussion for today.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Kroom, members of the public and HOC team. This matter comes before you to seek your support for moving forward with a recommendation to HUD and a request to HUD to increase our fair market rents to the 112% payment standards. The recommendation that you will hear from staff is really based in two key premises. One, to afford more opportunities to our clients to seek housing opportunities across this county, and the other, to reduce as much as we can the rent burden that some of our clients experience. In doing both of those actions and moving forward with the request, we also reduce the potential of recapture of funds. And so with that, I will turn it over to our Director of the Housing Resource Division, Lynn Hayes, who will also be supported by many other key staff on this recommendation. Thanks.
Thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. Actually, I'm Lynn Hayes, Director of the Housing Resources Division. Giddy Paul is going to take the lead in the presentation, along with Kashif Paul, who is our financial analyst. So Giddy will begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Giddy Paul, Assistant Director of the Housing Resources Division. Annually, the Department of Housing and Urban Development publishes the fair market rents for in determining our voucher payment standards for the Housing Choice Voucher Program. Fair market rents represent the cost to rent a dwelling unit in a local housing market, including the cost of utilities. Voucher payment standards represent the maximum amount of subsidy that a public housing authority may pay a private landlord on behalf of a housing choice voucher customer. HUD requires that the use of small area fair market rents in 24 designated metropolitan areas in January of 2018. The VPS may range from 90 to 110% of the published fair market rents and are established by the PHA. HUD published PIH Notice 2022-30 on September 26, 2022, and it permits public housing authorities to establish our voucher payment standards up to 120% of the published fair market rents. Any payment standard in excess of 110% requires HUD approval. The notice includes waivers specific to assisting PHAs in the response on the ongoing fluctuation of the rental market by providing more flexibility in establishing our payment standards. This waiver is for 1 year unless the PHA applies for an extension. The PHAs that are requesting new waivers must do so by September 30th of 2023. If you could take it to slide 10, please. Thank you. All right. There are 71 zip codes in our jurisdiction. Overall, we analyzed 355 values of the FMR to determine the payment standards. Last year was the first time that we used Solver, an Excel feature. We chose to use this model again this year and applied the constraints from 90 to 120% of the FMR. Currently, we have 38 zip codes that are occupied by our families of our 71 zip codes in our jurisdiction. This leaves 33 zip codes unoccupied. Some of the zip codes that are unoccupied include 20812 Glen Echo, 20818 Cabin John, 20824 Bethesda, and 20825 Chevy Chase. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. 1/3 of Montgomery County, or 93,000 acres, are designated as agricultural reserves. In this slide, you will see that in green are the shaded areas in which there is limited opportunity for us to expand our vouchers, expand the use of our vouchers. Some of these areas include Mount Airy, Woodbine, Brookville, Barnesville, Dickerson, Ashton, Damascus, and Gaithersburg in the zip codes of 20882 and 20883. Next slide, please. Overall, the fair market rents increased in as many as 62 zip codes. All bedroom sizes experienced increase in ranging from $10 up to $230 in the 4-bedroom size. The 0-bedroom size was the most positively impacted by increases in the FMR, with as many as 62 zip codes experiencing increases in dollar amounts. The increase in the 0-bedroom size ranged from $10 to $130, followed by 2-bedroom sizes with 61 zip codes experiencing increases. For illustrative purposes, we provided a sample of the top increases across zip codes and bedroom sizes. Next slide, please. Thank you. This year, we saw a significantly lower number of zip codes that experienced decreases in the FMR. 14 zip codes experienced decreases in the FMR compared to last year of 62 zip codes. The 4-bedroom size was the most negatively impacted, with as many as 14 zip codes experiencing decreases. The decreases in the 4-bedroom size ranged from $10 to $380, followed by 3-bedroom sizes, and Brookville experienced the largest decrease across all bedroom sizes. Next slide, please. Thank you. Over 90% of our families reside in 1, 2, and 3-bedroom sizes. The majority of our families currently reside in 1-bedroom units at 34.3%, followed by 2 bedrooms at 34.1%. With 4-bedroom sizes experiencing the largest decrease in the FMR this year, 295 families could potentially experience a negative impact with the changes in the FMR. Next slide, please. Of the 38 zip codes occupied, 90% of our families reside in the top 15 zip codes, or 6 correspondent cities. Similar to last year, Silver Spring leads with having the most families. Conversely, we have the fewest families at 6%, residing in 15 zip codes with the least concentration. To the right of each bar, we've identified the number of families residing in that zip code or submarket. Next slide, please. Rent burden families reside in 31 of our 38 occupied cities. I'm sorry, 38 of our occupied zip codes. Here we have the top 15 zip codes with families experiencing rent burden. Germantown leads with 182 zip codes. 182 families experiencing rent burden, followed by Silver Spring with 127 families experiencing rent burden. Families that are rent burden on average are paying 16% over their 30% adjusted income, totaling 46% of their adjusted income. Next slide, please. Thank you. After assessing several percentile values from 90 to 120%, we are proposing the implementation of 112% of the FMR across the board for all bedroom sizes. This implementation would allow us to prevent rent burden of approximately 90% of our families. In the next slide, my colleague, financial analyst Kashif Paul will discuss the financial impact. Thank you. Kasha?
I'm sorry, I was on hold, unmuted. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kashif Paul. I'm the financial analyst for Housing Resources Division. Our program goal is to serve as many families as possible with quality services. By keeping this in mind, our team is suggesting 112% voucher payment standards for calendar year 2023. By implementation of these suggested voucher payment standards, we will reduce our HUD held reserves to $4.7 million, leaving $0 at risk for being recaptured by HUD. Per HUD guidelines, we should have between 4 to 6% to our annual budget authority in reserves. Our overall program expenses will increase by 6.2% and will have an increase of 5% in our per unit cost. HUD will recapture our funding for following year based on our program expenses. All other percentile values assessed leave a risk of recapture by HUD up to $11 million and or too little to cover our program expenses. So we will go to the next slide. And my colleague, Giddy Paul, again, will take the lead for the other slides, please.
Thank you. At this time, staff is requesting that the Administrative and Regulatory Committee support staff's recommendation to request voucher payment standards for FY 2023 to be equal to 112% of the published FMRs for all zip codes and bedroom sizes. The recommendation of this voucher payment standard will reduce the rent burden for 80% of the families currently rent burden up to 30 zip codes. Up to 30 zip codes. It will allow families greater opportunity while increasing our program utilization and maintaining a balance of 4 to 6% of our annual budget authority. Adopting the 112% of our FMR for our voucher payment standards will allow us to increase the number of families served in our program up to 90% of our utilization rate. At this time, we will take any questions that you may have.
I might as well get started. Am I on mute?
No.
Can you hear me? Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I might as well get started. What does this, now this will be for, I understand the increase I understand that part, but I don't understand, you said this would be for 30, this would be for 30 zip code holders, right? But we have 38, am I correct?
No, so this would be across all of our zip codes, but what I was explaining is that we currently have families that are rent burdened in 31 zip codes. This would alleviate the rent burden in 30 of those 31 zip
30.
codes.
I
Yes,
knew
but it
I wrote down.
includes all of our 71 zip codes in our jurisdiction, this increase.
Okay, and you said it would be 112%,
Yes,
and that's for all the zip codes?
yes.
What about for the elderly? Same for the elderly too?
Anyone who is a voucher, housing choice voucher recipient, yes.
And what was that number again, from $10 to, I saw $10 to 130?
Those
then
were
you get-
decreases.
Oh, decreases?
Yes, it was $10 to 100 to 230.
30, yeah,
Uh-huh. 230, that's for increases.
okay. And these are for the ones that have 4 bedrooms?
The increases were across the board. That was a range across the board. 4 bedrooms saw decreases as much as $380.
Mhm.
So it would be the same percent regardless of the number of bedrooms?
Correct.
Okay.
I got it. Okay.
Do you have any other questions, Commissioner Crew?
No.
Okay. I have a question then. You discussed what reserve would be left if we increase our payments for this. Can you tell me the percent of our reserves that would be left?
So if we could take it back to slide 13,
Thank you.
where the recommendation. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that your slide is different. So this would be, I believe, 20 or 19 or 20 of this packet. So the one before it, sorry, there you go. All right, Commissioner Kroom, if you look to the right of the screen, we have as at risk of recapture. Right beside it, we have the projected reserves in percentages. And so
Okay.
this would be 4% of our projected reserves.
Okay.
Okay.
So that would be slightly less than the 5% we have been carrying in the past, but it would enable us to meet the rent needs of more people and
Correct.
especially in more zip
I got it.
codes. Okay,
And just to add, Commissioner Kelleher, we did discuss this with the acting CFO, who was in agreement with this recommendation as well.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I can see how if by limiting it by only 1%, we can make that much of an impact. And I don't think anyone would question the fact that rents have been rising in a way that has negatively impact our residents. And if this is the way to help the most people with the money that's available, then I can see the basis for the recommendation.
This would be for the 2023?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it normal for HUD to approve such requests, and are they generally approved going forward as well for additional years, or can anyone kind of give me a sense of how typical or atypical this process is?
We don't know. We've never done it. And so the notice was just published in September. So there is certain criteria that we have to meet in order to submit the request, which we meet that criteria, which is our utilization is lower than 98% this calendar year. Additionally, calendar years 2019 through 2021, if our utilization was lower than 98%, that is also a qualifying factor. So we meet more than one of the qualifications. We hope and anticipate that they will approve the request. But in terms of giving you a feel for how common, I don't know. We've never done it, and the notice was just recently published.
Thank you. So it sounds as if HUD recognizes there's an issue if they have suddenly opened up this opportunity.
Absolutely.
That's great. I would wonder if it would also help to submit what at least I have heard you report a couple of times to us, and that is the increased amount of time it's taking people, once we offer them a voucher, for them to find a place that fits within the dollar amounts that are allowed in the 90 to 110%. That
Mhm.
increase in time is a good indicator of the fact that the market is so tight that the amount of funding in the voucher is making it difficult for people to find homes, even though they qualify.
That is another qualifying factor. And so if less than 85% of the vouchers that we've issued within the last 6 months have not leased, and that would also be a qualifier. So we will go in and assess that data as well, but we definitely meet the other factors for sure.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Linda, would you like to offer a motion that we forward to the full commission for their consideration staff's proposal to increase the voucher funding percentage to 112%?
Yes, to prevent the risk of rent burden. Yes, by all means, I would.
Okay, and I will second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so it's unanimous. The committee would approve forwarding to the full commission staff's recommendation to apply to HUD to be able to increase our voucher to 110% of the fair market rates for 2023.
112%.
112.
Oh, I'm sorry, what did I say?
110.
Oh, my apology, from 110 to 112%.
Yeah.
Thank you for the correction.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There being no other business to come before the committee, I will adjourn the committee and wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving if we don't talk to you before then.
Happy
Thank you.
Thanksgiving,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Happy
Thank you,
Thanksgiving.
team. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Let's go.